The Vikings have a major problem on their hands, plus some more NFL news to discuss as another coordinator around the NFL has been fired, plus a key injury update. We're going to get into it all here on 4Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. I got a challenge for you guys. You want another 2026 NFL mock draft? I kind of want to cook another one up. Well, prove it to me. Prove it to me you want more draft content. Let's get 25 or more new subscribers on today's show. We're bringing you daily football videos, NFL and college football here on 4Verts. We get 25 or more subs, we'll cook up another mock draft. All right, J.J. McCarthy. He's a problem. We have to call it out. He is a problem right now. Now, I do want to say, 6 games in, he's dealt with multiple injuries in his career. I don't think everything is his fault in terms of the Vikings' issues. I don't think Kevin O'Connell's had a great year calling plays. Their drop rate is over 14% with J.J. McCarthy, so that is tough, but the numbers are brutal, man. And the eye test it isn't much better. I mean, sub 55%. You know, you can live with some accuracy issues if you're generating big plays, but they're just not. 6 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. QB rating sub 60. It's been mostly a disaster. You know, he had that fourth quarter in week 1 against the Bears where it was like, okay, maybe this vaults him into the season. Then he was awful in week 2, got injured in that game, missed a lot of time, has come back. They somehow beat the Lions, but for most of that game, he wasn't very good. And then in the last few weeks, he's been really, really bad. It's unwatchable. I almost feel bad. I'm like, how is it this bad? You just can't believe it. And then you see this stat, and you're like, it's even worse than it feels. Anthony Amico tweeted this out. This is per True Media. J.J. McCarthy now ranks 851st out of 852 qualified quarterbacks since 2000 in EPA per dropback, per True Media. The only player below J.J. McCarthy, a.k.a. worse in that stat, EPA per dropback, that's expected points added, is Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell is considered one of the biggest busts in NFL history, probably the biggest. He did not care about training. He did not watch film. There's that infamous story of the Raiders gave him, a film CD to go study at home. And then when he got back, they asked him, to present his notes on the film study, and he had some stuff written down. The trick was the CD was blank. They knew he wouldn't watch it. They were testing him. J.J. McCarthy, by all accounts, is a hard worker, is a good teammate. He does want it. He just can't play, at least right now. Again, it's 6 games in. You don't want to declare a kid's career over, but this is about as bad as you could have imagined if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. You let Sam Darnold go, you lean into J.J. McCarthy, and he's unplayable. Now they have to play him because you only got 6 games left because you got this dilemma now where 6 games left in the season. I think you have to play him the rest of the game. Rest of the year. I keep seeing people saying, I don't think playing him is helping. Okay, what are you going to do? Sit him down and then roll him out next year? You got to have some kind of data point to look at the end of the season in terms of what you're going to do. I think you play him these final 6 games, and unless he surprises you and plays well, I think they're going to be QB hunting. I don't think Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell are just going to roll into next year with J.J. McCarthy and hope he takes a big leap. Now, maybe they just bring in competition. They give him a chance to compete, but there's no way it's just like J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer. They'll either bring in a vet for competition, or I wouldn't be shocked if they just drafted another quarterback. I'll give you a scenario. The Tennessee Titans, who don't need a QB, Cam Ward's getting better, and they just drafted him, but they're currently in the number 1 pick slot. If they get the number 1 pick in the draft, if you're Minnesota, who currently has the 12th pick, let's say they have, the 8th, the 9th, the 11th pick, whatever, I could see the Vikings sending a blockbuster offer to Tennessee, trading up to number 1 and drafting Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of Indiana. 6'5", 225, not a cannon, but a good arm, very accurate, 3-year starter in college in multiple different systems. He was at Cal before Indiana. I don't know if he's like a superstar in the making in the NFL, but he can throw it to all areas of the field. I think there's a chance he could do really well in a KOC offense, an offense that wants to be pass happy, throw the football first, and attack defenses in the intermediate and vertical areas. J.J. McCarthy came from a place in college under Jim Harbaugh where it's like, hey, we're going to run the football, just take care of the ball, manage the game, and every once in a while make a big play. That's not what KOC wants to do. He wants to have the quarterback carry the offense. J.J. McCarthy's incapable of doing that right now. That period, point blank, end of story. And if they get to the end of this season, they don't think he can ever even get close to that, they're going to pivot. Fair or not, they are going to pivot if that ends up being the case. So they're in a bad way. 12 months, talk about flipping on its head. This time last year, they're battling to win the NFC North. They did flame out, but they let Sam Darnold go. He's been good in Seattle, and J.J. McCarthy just hasn't. And it's hard to watch, man. It really, really is. Will J.J. McCarthy be the Vikings starting quarterback in 2026? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I think right now you'd have to say no. I just don't see how you could say yes with any sort of confidence. But 6 games to go. We'll see if he can find something and get some momentum going. All right, this episode of 4 Verts is brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is here. It's the best time of year for sports. Bowl games coming up, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there's only one place where it feels good to be right, Prize Picks. I don't know about you. My season-long fantasy football team has been done for weeks now. That's why I like daily fantasy with Prize Picks, is I can set new lineups every day, pick different players, and, my season-long fantasy team's been ravaged with injuries. Well, with Prize Picks, you can try different players, guys that are healthy, and you are good to go. All you do is pick 2 or more players and take more or less on their stat projections to qualify for a Prize Picks lineup. A cool new feature with Prize Picks, they have early payouts now. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Little 2-player lineup for tonight. I took more on Christian McCaffrey, 7 targets. He's having a historic season in terms of how often they're throwing him the football in San Francisco. And then Tetero McMillan, I took more on his receiving yards as well, 66.5. $20 lineup to win $60. Check out Prize Picks today. Download the app. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay, some more NFL news storylines I want to hit on. The Giants have mercifully, finally fired Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator. It's kind of a joke he wasn't fired when Brian Daboll was, or weeks earlier, if we're being completely honest. Rap Sheet had the news this morning along with Mike Garafolo as Mike Kafka, the interim coach, makes the change. Jordan Schultz put out a stat that was slightly wrong, but Dan Duggan, who corrected it here, still outlines how poor the Giants' defense has been. He says it's 3 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter that they've blown, five double-digit leads total. Again, it doesn't really matter because that's 3 too many. And the point he's making is, regardless of how many, is they've had numerous chances to win these games late, and they just can't do it. Look at this just game-by-game situation. They lost all these games. They're up 3 on Dallas with no time left in the fourth quarter, lose that game in overtime. They're cruising against the Saints, blow that game. They're up 18 points on Denver with less than 5.5 minutes to go, lose the game. Up 10 on Chicago in the fourth quarter, lose the game. Up 10 on Detroit in the fourth quarter yesterday, lose the game. And then they were beating the Packers, what was that, 2 weeks ago in the fourth quarter as well, lose the game. Shane Bowen was a total embarrassment. For how talented that defensive front is, not getting nearly enough production. Brian Burns is having a good year, but Abdul Carter has been up and down as a rookie. Dexter Lawrence is having the worst year of his career. It's not like they're talentless. He's just a vanilla DC. And it's a joke that they brought him back this year, and certainly a joke that he lasted as long as he did. Now, speaking of the Giants, obviously they're going to conduct a head coaching search. Who do you guys think they should hire as their next head coach? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Okay, we got a little bit of a Baker Mayfield injury update. He left last night's game in a sling as the Bucs lost their 3rd straight game. They're really in a tough spot. Carolina can actually get into first place with a win tonight over the 49ers. Adam Schefter, just a little bit ago, says, pre-MRI, the Bucs believe Baker Mayfield suffered a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. There's no fracture and no structural damage. One source says the Buccaneers are not ruling out Mayfield for Sunday's game against the Cardinals, but today's MRI will tell more. And, you would probably say, okay, do you need to sit him a week or two? But with them at 6-5 now, if he can play, you got to have him out there. Now, his play's been slipping. He's clearly not right. He's been banged up. The Bucs have had a lot of injuries around him. Their defense is really struggling, but I don't see what choice you have. If he can go out there, you play him, especially against a Cardinals team that you should beat. You can't afford to lose that game. So I think the Buccaneers' ceiling is severely less than I thought coming into the year, but they're still in the mix to make the playoffs, and playing Baker Mayfield gives you at least a chance to make it. Okay, lastly, let's hit on the playoff picture, then we'll get out of here. We'll start with the AFC, which is pretty interesting right now. We'll kind of take a look at the betting odds here in a second, but kind of all over the place right now, right? The top three teams, Patriots, Broncos, and Colts. Not a lot of people had that coming into the year. The Ravens, after starting 1-5, they are now on top of the AFC North. They've won 5 in a row, and the Steelers have lost 4 out of 6. So Baltimore is in the 4 seed right now. Chargers, Jags, Bills, 5, 6, 7. Kind of crazy. Buffalo is the 7th seed right now. Then you've got Pittsburgh, Houston, and Kansas City all in there at 6 and 5 on the outside looking in. Look at these AFC title odds per sportsbooks in Vegas. 6 teams, plus 500 or plus 550. Patriots, Chiefs. The Chiefs, who are the 10th seed right now, are tied for the best odds to win the AFC. Colts, Broncos, Ravens, Bills. What does that tell you? Vegas doesn't have a clue. They have no idea who wins the AFC. Now, I think they're kind of giving you some clues like, hey, if the Chiefs just make the playoffs, they like their chance. If the Ravens make the playoffs, they like their chances. But they have no idea who's coming out of the AFC. I don't really blame them. I don't know either. If the Chiefs make the playoffs, it'd be hard to pick against them, but they still have an uphill battle to climb. That game against Dallas on Thanksgiving, it's a big game for both teams. That could be a loser leaves town game. In terms of playoff chances. Speaking of the Cowboys, let's take a look at the NFC. Rams on top after the Eagles blew that 21-0 game to Dallas yesterday, so they fall to the 2 seed. Eagles-Bears, Black Friday, winner of that game in the 2 seed in the NFC, so that's pretty interesting. Bucks clamoring to the lead in the NFC South. They do have the tiebreaker, but if Carolina wins tonight to get to 7-5, they would leapfrog them, and Tampa would be completely out. Seattle in a very good position, as are the Packers. I think the things in the NFC to watch are as follows. The 7th seed, 49ers, Lions, really Packers and Bears too. Carolina, Tampa, whichever one doesn't win the division, maybe Dallas. And then who wins the NFC North and the NFC West? Who wins those 2 divisions? I think those are the things to watch because I think Philly still ends up winning the East. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be Carolina or Tampa that wins the South. The other team probably just doesn't make the playoffs. So I think those are the things to watch in the NFC. And Vegas has much more confidence in how the NFC tier is tiered out right now. The Rams, I think rightfully so, have the best odds to win the NFC. Philly at plus 340. I actually think Seattle's a little better than Philadelphia, but what they're factoring in the odds there are a couple things. One, Eagles have an easier path, right? They're going to win their division almost certainly, so they'll be playing at home in the playoffs, whereas Seattle might have to go on the road. And Philly's the defending champs there, so there's just a little more built-in confidence with the sports books and the odds makers there. Detroit, Green Bay is still at plus 650, plus 750 to round out the NFC. But I do agree with Vegas with the Rams. I think they're the best team. Where's the weakness? You know, I've been saying for a few weeks, I don't love their corners. Playing good right now. Manuel Forbes, Kobe Durant, making plays. Stafford's been unbelievable. He looks like the MVP, 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, him and Devontae Adams feel like they've been playing together for a decade. I like the Rams a lot. I think they're the most complete team, not only in the NFC, but in the NFL. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of 4 Verts. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you want a new mock draft video. Might get a little wild with a little trade idea for the #1 pick. So subscribe today if you want to see that. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.